Hello everyone, this is StrawberryShorty back with my list of titles to grab from the eShop before it closes. And first I want to say thanks to everyone who clarified how to play certain games, so check out the comments on the last video for some elaboration. And also thank you to those who pointed out some DLC that I'd missed. As a sort of follow-up, I want to mention two of those now, both of which are supposed to be fairly expansive. I know that Fantasy Life has some DLC. I think you get like a special island called Origin Island, as does an RPG that is not on the list, which is Fire Emblem Fates. So if you had not played Fire Emblem Fates, it's a strategy RPG, and there were two versions released, Birthright and Conquest. And you'd have to, like, if you bought Birthright, you'd have to pay and download Conquest, and vice versa, unless you got the special edition. There's also the Revelations DLC, which is a third story path, and again, that came with the special edition, but if you bought the Conquest or Birthright games, you have to download that. So, yeah, there's a bunch of other, like, special side stories and maps. I think Fire Emblem Awakening also has some side story content, but I don't think it does anywhere near as much as Fates. So I definitely recommend checking all of that out. And getting back to the list proper, we're going to be starting off with quite a few more random games that I haven't played, but hopefully because of that we'll be able to get through them pretty quickly. So first off, what I've been calling the Family series. This is a series of, like, sporty-type games with sort of cute graphics. There's Family Tennis, Family Table Tennis, Family Fishing, Family Bowling, and Family Kart. I have no idea if they're any good, but, I like cute stuff. So, might be worth checking out. Super Strike Beach Volleyball, which honestly falls into the same box of being a sporty-looking game with cute graphics. General gameplay looks fairly standard for a volleyball game, not necessarily interesting, but cute graphics, so... I'm not sure if it's supposed to be part of the Family series because it really looks like it is, but it doesn't have family in the title. Next up, Inazuma 11. Anime soccer, basically. I know next to nothing about the gameplay. I think the game itself looks really good. Like it's the graphics kind of make me think of like RPG Maker almost. But I know that there's like walking around town, like a Japanese town. I know that there's also soccer. But yeah, I have no idea beyond that. Crazy Construction. This is supposed to be a story-based game that involves piling random items to reach the goal. This is another game where it looks kind of interesting, a little cute. It's got a demo, so if you wanted to maybe check it out, go ahead. Next up, Gotcha Racing. And once again, a game that got me due to its cuteness. This appears to be a sort of like miniature racing game, but you have to make your cars via parts that you get from a gotcha type thing. And if you don't know what gotcha is, it's like basically like a gumball machine. That's as far as I could tell from it. Speed X 3D Hyper Edition. It's a fast-paced tunnel racing game. Honestly, it reminds me of the logic dives from Danganronpa 2. I'm very interested if it is any fun to play. Mock Riding. So I think this is actually an NES game, but it's an old school racing game where you have to, race along and try to avoid things like oil spills and colliding with other drivers. I think we've all played a game like that. Cube Tactics. This is one where even after looking up the pictures, I have no idea. The description calls it a tactical game involving cubes, but it doesn't say much else. And it looks very unique, very colorful. Automaton Lung. This is actually one of the last games released for the 3DS, and again, no idea if it's any good. Seems to be a third-person thing where you control I think it's a girl, running around doing stuff. I don't know. It looks like the type of game where there should be some form of combat, but I didn't see any in the screenshots. Here we have a list of 4 games. Battle Miner, Battle Miners, Cube Creator 3D, and Cube Creator DX. These games all look like Minecraft, with the Cube Creator games having you play little cube people. I've always kind of been interested in Minecraft, but I've never played it. I have no idea if any of these games are any good, but the idea of building things is just too tempting. And I know at least some of these games have DLC, and one of those DLCs was kind of sweet themed, so I like that. Voxel Maker. Since we're talking about making things with blocks, I'm throwing this title out there. It's not really a game, you just kind of make block art. I've had a lot of fun just messing around with it. It's digital only, but there's probably computer software that could kind of do the same thing, but, you know, it's there. Pocket Card Jockey. This is one of those games I've heard a lot about, and you see it on a lot of lists calling it a hidden gem. I believe it combines a card game like Solitaire with like a cute horse racing thingy. It's definitely worth checking out from what everyone's been saying. And of course it is a digital only title, so grab it while you can. I have no idea how to pronounce this one. Noitu Love Devolution. The Nintendo page for some reason removes the 2, but this game is a sequel to another title. It's supposed to be a fast-paced arcade game. You can download the first one on the company's website. It looks like some sort of side-scroller, beat-em, shoot-em-up thingy. Next up, Ikachan. You play as an adorable little squid trapped in dangerous waters, have to avoid obstacles, and lead your fellow sea life to safety. Again, no idea how it plays. I just keep imagining those underwater levels in the early Mario games. Kersploosh. Choose between different kinds of stones and drop them down various wells to try and get to the bottom as quickly as possible. Sounds pretty straightforward, so I ended up putting it on this list. Now here's a fun title. VVVVVV. Manipulate gravity to make your way through various levels. The little people in this remind me of Five Nights at Freddy's. That's all I've really got to say about that. I have no idea if this game's any fun. Dot Runner, Complete Edition. Even the description for this game was weird, but it seems like some kind of strange sci-fi Pac-Man with 2 complete stories, according to Nintendo's site. Might be worth checking out. Next up, the Mysterious Stars 3D series. I actually had to go into the one copy of this game that I have. I think there's like 3 titles. I'm not sure though. I actually had to go into it because you really cannot find anything about these games online. Like I could not find any videos, screenshots are borderline non-existent. They seem to be slightly story-driven. No idea how much. And you connect stars or dots to form objects. That's as much as I could take away from it. I just was not able to play much, unfortunately. Titan Attacks. Honestly, it just looks like a cooler version of Space Invaders. Like, that's why it ended up on this list. Kicks. So this is actually another Virtual Console title, but I'm giving it a special mention solely because I refuse to let it be ignored. The game is simple, but I found it a lot of fun. Your goal is to make squares, but you have to be careful not to let the enemy, which is like this scribbly looking thing, run into you while you're in the process of making the square. You can make them of different sizes. It's not the best description, but I still highly recommend giving this title a try. The 10-in-1 Arcade Collection. I believe this is only for the new series of consoles. Really, I'd recommend just looking it up. I've included a few screenshots, but it is a collection of 10 games, and they kind of look cute/cool, like old school arcadey type games. Hazumi. This is another game where it caught my eye, but I really don't know what it's about. There are colored balls, they bounce around, and that's about all I can tell you. Arc Style Solitaire. It's just Solitaire. I think the game looks cute. There's no real reason to buy it otherwise. You could get Solitaire games pretty much anywhere. Banana Bliss Jungle Puzzles. I love the title art for this game. It looks so good. So this is a puzzle game where you supposedly control a monkey trying to gather all the hearts in the level for his sweetheart. From the looks of it, you have to be careful not to block your own path and avoid obstacles. It's as much as I could gain from it. Next up, we have The Delusions of von Sottendorf and His Square Mind, which is a very long title. This is a really weird-looking one. It seems more like it should be on PC. It's described as an artistic puzzle game. You play a man, you walk around. I don't know what else to tell you about it. Oh my gosh, I think I completely forgot to get pictures for this one. Puzzle Box Setup. So, because I completely forgot to get pictures for this one, I am still a little vague on how it goes, but it seems to involve trying to make a certain object using blocks. I think this is the one where you drop them, but I'm not 100% sure. I wish I had not forgotten to get the pictures for this first. So, I should have mentioned, with a puzzle box setup, we are shifting into the more puzzly titles, so prepare for a few of those. The Picross E series, block related, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It is a series of Picross titles. There's about 8 or 9 of them. I haven't had a chance to play much of them. They all seem to kind of follow the basic concept of all Picross games. I was not kidding when I said like all of the Picross games for the Nintendo DS pretty much have the same user interface. There's also a high chance that these games have DLC for extra puzzles, and I would just assume that all of these puzzly Picross type games might have DLC puzzles, so just keep that in mind. They also all seem to be different colors. So here we have one of my favorites. It's a series of 3 games: Pick-a-Pix, Block-a-Pix, and Link-a-Pix. Of these 3 titles, only Pick-a-Pix is a Picross game, though all 3 involve making a picture on a white grid using colored tiles. They all feature a way to check and see how many errors you've made, and you can choose to have those errors undone if you want. Block-a-Pix is probably my least favorite, as you have to connect 2 boxes that share the same color and number by filling up that number of squares. Link-a-Pix is similar, but I found it more fun, as you just focus on connecting the 2 colored boxes with a line using that number of squares. And Pick-a-Pix is pretty fun and uses color, but in a frustrating thing, it doesn't tell you that you can only put X's to avoid the same color from touching. I'm not sure if that really makes sense, but like in normal Picross games, if you have like a line of 7 squares with a 5 and a 1 above it, you'd fill in the first 5 squares, put an X, then fill in the remaining square. And that's not the case here, so it did get confusing. I did grab a Link-a-Pix Deluxe on the Switch to see if it was the same game, but it seems to have completely different puzzles, and despite reading the opposite, I did not see the original puzzles as DLC or anything. And I honestly think the game is way more fun to play with a stylus. Like, playing it with a D-pad is just weird. Next, we have Phil's Epic Philipix Adventure. This game is a demo, and I would strongly recommend you try it, because it seems to be very similar to Block-a-Pix, but it's all in black and white. I wasn't really enjoying the demo personally, so I probably won't pick it up. Pix 3D. You're given a picture and a bunch of pixels, and your goal is to recreate the picture within the time limit. That seems to be about it, but it honestly looks interesting. Next up, Tapingo. This is another game about making an image, but this time it seems to be by trying to figure out how to extend pixel-based lines in an area with numerous cubes. I don't know how much that makes sense, but... Picross 3D Round 2. Not quite sure how this one plays, but it certainly seems like a unique take on the type, with everything being in 3D, like a 3D block image. Sanrio Characters Picross. Other Picross games just not cute enough for you? Well, join the likes of Hello Kitty and all those other adorable Sanrio characters that most of you have only heard about from Animal Crossing Pocket Camp in their very own Picross game. So, I love cute stuff like this. And as you complete the puzzles, you can gain stickers that you can use to decorate and make unique backgrounds that can be used at different spots in the game, like as backgrounds while you're playing the puzzle, or backgrounds from the main menus. So we're shifting a little bit here. I just kind of threw in 2 other Hello Kitty games. Hello Kitty's Magic Apron and Travel Adventures with Hello Kitty. I grabbed these games because they were on sale. Magic Apron seems similar to Cooking Mama, where you make food and have to slide the stylus and stuff. I had little luck getting much info on Travel Adventures, though. It seems like it might be mini games, like a dress-up game and putting food on tables. I don't know, though. I can't tell if they're fun or if they're more geared towards kids, but if you like Hello Kitty, no reason not to grab them. And while you can grab physical versions of Hello Kitty Picnic and Hello Kitty and Friends 3D Racing, they are also available on the eShop, but I'd just get physical versions personally. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry there were so many games in this one that I did not know about. Please let me know in the comments if anything in this video caught your eye, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!